gonna take more than drop me. Copy, I get it aki. You salty like sauce shaki. You saw them Nazis. Time to round up all the posses and take it to the heights. Like we copping raw from Poppy. What it's gonna take for you to stay woke? Coffee probably. Paul, you got me.
We worshiping death like the Mayans. Shook the pillars of the Matrix, we felt it in Zion. Niggas sagging like fuck the belts of Orion. They dancing with Lucifer, stranded on Jupiter. Your man's and you stupider. Then you look at them photos in cages like Luke. I'm way more like Anakin. They paid for shenanigans in your living room like Raymore and Flanagan, challenging the mannequins. The God is on his grizzly, the God is getting busy. The 666 guard like I'm Drizzy, ringing the alarm like a guard with the Lizzie. The fruits of my labor, live from the jungle. The fruits was my neighbors, shooting them lasers, recoup from the majors.
Peace and Black Power. Welcome to another edition of Baba TV. Every time fire. Here in Harlem, this nice evening here. It's not too chilly for a change. I can bust out and get out here for a change. I just left Washington, D.C. Had a beautiful time there with the family. And now I'm back here in Harlem with my big brother Red Pill, which is always a pleasure. One of the major foundational rudiments of the success of Baba TV. Remember, those of us who have others on our platform are only as good as the people that we have on our platform. We wouldn't be a damn thing. Baba TV wouldn't be a damn thing without Red Pill's and his brother's contribution. So, and no matter how long that I've known him, I never want to take that for granted. With that being said, I want to go right into the meat and talk about our beloved sister. How do you pronounce her name?
Oh,
Amara Del Negra.
Amara the Black.
This beautiful sister, and I heard it was good. I love that video on Brother Rich's channel. I just want to add my little spice to it. When we look at the compositions of these Spanish societies, we see that at the top of the ladder are white-skinned descendants of conquistadores, and on the bottom are black people and the original inhabitants of that land. White supremacy and their religion was indoctrinated in our people over there and exploited and imposed on people of color. So when we talk about Latin America, let's understand what we're saying here. We're talking about people who, for the most part, well, not everybody, has African blood in them, and they have experienced racism just like all of the rest of us. But when we see a lot of those people, especially the lighter ones who come over here, one of the first words they learn in their lexicon is nigger. And so the major contradiction I see in all this is white skin male privilege. And God damn it, if we don't begin to deal with that, if we don't begin to analyze that, then we're gonna have problems. So with that being said, my big brother Red, now that I got that off my chest, take it away.
Indeed. First and foremost, I just want to give thanks, for your opening monologue, and I appreciate the fact that you recognize the contributions. All right. This conversation about our sister is very, very important. And I'm only saying that because of the response that I've been getting, not only on the streets by individuals walking up to me. Right before we started filming this segment, what happened, Baba? Did a young man of Latin persuasion not just come up and give thanks for? Yeah, so I've been hearing a lot of feedback from the video that I did with Brother Rich, where we were giving a backstory of utilizing the teacher movement of the sister going viral from Love and Hip Hop, the Afro-Latina sister by the name of Amara Del Negra, and she went viral. So we use that as a teacher moment to give our brothers and sisters, not of Latin America only, but the family over here, the blacks, giving you the history of the browns, and showing how, you know, the story is a little deeper than they give you in Catholic school, or a little deeper than they give you in history school, or the story is a little deeper than they give you in mainstream media. You know, the story of the origin of Latin America, the origin of South America, Central America, and certain Caribbean islands, and the origin of these islands having countries or states that were named after conquistadors, named after European kings, named after other foreign, you know, conquerors, you know what I'm saying? And we were giving you the history of the nations that existed before said incidents happened. These were wars, by the way, family. These were acts of terror. These were pillaging. These were crusades. These were, you know, unjustifiable assaults from European nations against Caribbean nations, against tribal nations, against indigenous aboriginal nations in the Caribbeans, Central America, South America, and even in North America. When you do the research on some of the conquistadors, such as Hernando Cortez, the Pizarro brothers, you dig what I'm saying? When you do the research on the friars, the Jesuit priests who were the friars, who were the missionaries, who were also a military arm of the church, who came over here and was doing re-education, basically conversion of all of the people into Christianity under the threat and coerce of torture, murder, ostracizing, excommunication of the church. And they were backed up by what is known as papal bulls and papal decrees that were signed by numerous popes that gave these conquistadors and these murderers and these terrorists the permission to conquer in the name of the church. Gave them permission to conquer in the name of Spain, which was one of the main crowns that was responsible for the pillaging and the murdering and the genocide campaigns that the Europeans were doing upon the natives and the aboriginals of these lands. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Hispaniola, Ecuador, Peru, Mexico, Florida, land of the flowers, Khalifa, California, you know what I'm saying? Arizona, you know, where the Grand Canyon was, the Bermuda Islands, the Bahamas, all of these places. There are logs. Go and grab that book, Baba. There's a book over there that says Columbus Logs. Grab that real quick. You got to go and read the books of these conquerors. You got to read the logs. You got to read the diaries, so you don't be left in speculation. They say it themselves that they're carrying out genocide in the name of the papal bulls by decree of the Roman Catholic Church, the Holy See. Henceforth, why these places are not only Catholic, I mean, they're not only Spanish or Latin places, but they're under the ruling of the church. They're under the cross, right? Go and get this book and read his logs. For the same man that they teach you to celebrate in school, he was a terrorist. And when you read his logs, you can see the language. He was a white supremacist. He was a terrorist. He was spreading the, he was spreading the curse of the Roman Catholic Church and also the crown, who just defeated the Moors, who just defeated the Muslims, who just defeated Berbers and North and West Africans all up in Europe, and was dealing with the capitulation in the mass conversions of them. When they converted them, what did they do? They took Muslim names and turned it into Spanish names or Latin names. Muhammad became Alejandro. You know what I'm saying? Tariq became Jorge.
they were doing mass conversions. Peace. What's up, my G? And then they were mass conversion. The mass conversions were turning swaths of people from Muslims and Jews, black Hebrew Jews, into what was known as black Christians. Okay? Then they took that campaign into Central and South and North America, and they spread that. That's why when you go into these regions, you have indigenous people who had names like Montezuma and all of these other colorful names that our brothers and sisters had. Now they're Jorge, Maria, Guadalupe, Isabella, you know what I'm saying? Jesus. You know what I mean? And all of the name of the conquistadors and their children. So the conquistadors and the crusaders come in, they slaughter the men wholesale. They slaughter them wholesale, they enslave them. They put them into hard labor. And then what do? They violate and they take the women and rape the women, impregnate the women, procreate with the women, compromise the women, seduce the women, you know what I mean? Whatever they do what is done in all wars. They claim the prize, which are the women. That is the booty of war. The womb of the woman, and they plant their seeds and they give birth to their new generations. Then their new generations give birth to newer generations. And it's a perpetual cycle. And throughout this perpetual cycle, there's re-education, there's miseducation, you know what I'm saying? There's myth making, there's the erasing of indigenous histories, there's the revising and rewriting of the story, and they get to be in the conqueror or the hunter gets the ability to tell his version of the story. You don't get the story from the indigenous people, you get it from the conqueror's point of view. His or her vantage points, and they're not going to tell you about the real story. They're not going to tell you about the true heroes. That's up to the people to do. So when you go and do the research, you have inside of Latin America the people rising up and giving up the folklore and giving up the real story of their heroes, of the people who led the rebellions, who led the revolutions and created the maroon societies, created the societies in the favelas. I'm trying to remember the name of the tribe. You have the Geechees and the Gullahs. You have the Seminoles, the black Seminoles in Florida. They all had their own civilizations. They all went and developed their own offshoots of what you know today as modern day societies. But for the most part, the majority of the people have been conquered in the same way. So there's no way. And what was lost in all of this translation is the roots that all of these nations have to their mother, which is Africa. Mama. You understand? Mama. You always go back to foundation. I don't care where you find a person. I want to know primal source. I need to know foundation. I want to know the motherboard. I'm trying to figure out what's making these people who they are. I go to Latin America, hey, it's love at first sight. The minute I get off the plane, I'm seeing all kind of phenotypes that I could get with. You dig what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my, I see the beauty in all of these women that I see there of all different persuasions. So I'm like, I need to do the history. I do the history, I find out their DNA is African. I understand it. I'm like, well, goddamn it makes sense now. No wonder they have such beautiful bodies. No wonder they shaped like that. No wonder they're so gracious. No wonder they're so, woman-like. No wonder they're so hot, spicy. You know what I mean? So you find out that it's a mixture of the Taino, the Arawak, the African, you know what I mean? Even the Arab, okay? They play a part in it. And the African and other things. So, all I know is as a people we're stronger together than we are apart. So because of a language barrier, you have people who claim that they don't have anything to do with you, or they don't have no homage to pay, right? They don't have to acknowledge your culture when your culture is powering their culture. Your culture, the DNA their culture. When they come and adopt hip-hop culture, when you see them, they have adopted your culture. You ain't adopt theirs. So here it is. A lot of people are benefiting once again. We find ourselves at the same place once again. There are another group of people who are benefiting off of your source, off of your source code, your DNA, your zeros and ones, your algorithms. This is shit that's empowering them. Their drums, their food, their language, you know what I mean? Their religion, their spirituality, their power. Remember, yeah, the religion shit is cute. You got some of that from the Roman Catholics, and then some of that you even got from Ethiopia. But your power source, your spirituality, my niggas, your black magic, you got that from Africa. Facts. Super facts. Snapple bottle top facts. You got that from Africa. So your power source, nigga, your ragu is from Africa. The DNA that made, you know what I'm saying, that gave you the beauty that you possess. Because, no offense, but you can't line up Penelope Cruz next to Amara del Negra and even have a conversation. There's nothing to talk about. You dig what I'm saying? There's nothing to talk about. And when you realize that that sister she's almost like, you know, an anomaly to Americans, but people in Latin America and Washington Heights, they know that there's a whole island filled with Amara del Negras, but they never bring that up. They don't want you to know that. But she's one in a million. So we need to begin to shine a light on our sisters and our brothers that are on the Caribbean islands, in the quote-unquote South America, Latin America, Central America, and begin to give them some light. You feel what I'm saying? Because they got something to say, they got a story to tell, and to my understanding, they're at the bottom of the barrel in those countries, the same way that they trying to hold me and you at the bottom of the barrel out here. In these Americas, the same places that's running off of our DNA, even up to today. This is on the eve of the Grammys. Hey, hip-hop runs the world. They're running off of our DNA. What's keeping the lights on? What's keeping things exciting? What's really teaching these babies? What's helping people get through everyday life? Is it rock and roll? Do you niggas get a lot out of country music? Talk to me. It's the culture, not just hip hop, not 16 bars and everything. The culture of hip hop. 5 pillars: music, MCing, consciousness, which is culture or knowledge, DJ, breakdancing, which is all of the dancing aspects, and also graffiti or the art aspect. That's the whole culture of hip hop. That is the most important, dominant genre in all of music right now. And you could do the research. Go and Google that shit. So that's your source. That's empowering America, and they still trying to keep you at the bottom of the motherfucking barrel. How is that? So there's people in Latin America, they responsible for a lot of the waves out there, but you never know that because all they showing you is my dude, what's his name, Juan Valdez, that archetype, and then they're showing you the blonde-eyed, blue hair conquistador Diego types. They're giving you the Diego types, which would be the descendants of some of the conquistadors. Even some of these narcos that they try to make you celebrate, those are the offshoot of some of these conquistadors. They're over there in Latin America doing similar things. You know what I'm saying? They pillage it for the gold. They pillage it for the precious stones. They pillage it for the labor. Now they're pillaging it for its natural resources, the coca leaves, the cocaina, the marijuana. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of those crops. So, you know, these are rich lands. They're not shitholes. The people over there are not poor. So to have our people who are of heavy melanin in Latin America as poor people, impoverished, at the bottom of the ladder, getting killed in Brazil at a rapid pace by the Portuguese, who are conquistadors. These are invaders. They're the aliens of that land. You can't show me no blue-eyed blonde person in no place in South America and not say that he's not he could be deported. He's an alien to that land. He or she. And the people who look more indigenous to that land, the ones with the Olmecan features, the one with the Aztec features. When you look at an Aztec, you could go into Mexico with pictures of Aztecs from the walls and find those tribes picking tomatoes. You could hold up Olmec pictures and go into Mexico and go into Honduras and go into you could go into the Gulf regions, right? Because even the brothers in the mud, even the brothers in the Gulf region of Texas, that's the mound building civilization. The Olmecs reigned over there. So the same way they was in Mexico, they were also in the Gulf regions. And like I said, that goes all the way up into the West Coast, into Cali. 44 Afro Latinos, 44 were founders of what you know as that land in Mexico. All black Mexicans or Afro-Mexicans being represented and treated with any kind of rights and economic sureties in Mexico right now. I don't think so. I don't think so. Is it a rest haven for black people in Mexico? No. But black people founded Mexico. Would you know that? And then Mexicans are at war with black people on the West Coast. But you come to find out Mexico was founded by Africans. What part of, you know what I'm saying? So what part of that has been left out of the lessons? So wouldn't it be right to pay homage and to give respect to mama, to the progenitors of some of these cultures, rather than go against them? So we know what it looks like when you go against them. Of course, you have our women indulging in prostitution in all of these Latin American countries. A lot of women of color have been reduced to prostitutes, sex slaves. The sex industry is basically one of the biggest industries in Latin America, in Central America, in South America, in the Caribbean for melanated women. So our women are being exploited. Our women are being taken advantage of. They're being abused and molested and done dirty. The men are being executed. The men are being put into, into be in prison, living out, flirting with death, living in the underworld, living in their lower selves and whatnot, not getting the information, not getting the knowledge, not getting the light, not realizing they the gods and the goddesses and they live on sacred lands. Tapping into the land, tapping into the nectars, tapping into the nature, tapping into the magic. Black magic matters. Tapping into all of that. Getting these people off of their ancestors' necks. Getting these people up off of their land who were just pillaging their lands for their natural resources, their cheap labor, their sweat equity, the yonis of their women, the wombs of their women, the minds of their men, the backs, the men too. Because remember, homosexuality was run rampant by the European in all of these places, by the Catholic Church. That's where they cut their teeth when it came to eating children and abusing them and flipping men and doing all of these things. This alternative lifestyle that, remember, on one hand, y'all want to talk down to the Catholic Church for indulging in, but on the other hand, you telling me and my people to accept it. I'm confused. On one hand, you know that the Catholic Church ravaged the Caribbean, Latin America, Mexico, all of those places where them little boys got turned out, Argentina, Brazil, all of the documentaries out there, they'll show you that. But then on the other hand, you're saying we supposed to accept it and that will be, you know what I mean, honorable, right? That would be honorable and that would be Christian-like. So I'm confused, but anyway, these are some of the places where a lot of those spells have been cast on some of these people. These people have turned into Roman standing army soldiers, Jesuit. These are their soldiers, okay? On many different levels, they provide a lot of energy. They provide a lot of souls to them, a lot of spirits, a lot of rental space in their heads and in their hearts, right? But The ultimate mission is the mission of that contingency, and that is to suppress Moorish energy. Remember, a Moor is what in Spanish? Ma'am, what does a Moor mean in Spanish? Love. Okay? When you got the Latin kings and they say amor del rey, that's amor del rey. So remember, due to Moorish history, Cardi B's original name, okay, go and research it. Her surname is a Moorish surname. Her whole name, I don't know, I think it's Belcazer Al something. That is a Moorish surname. Okay, the Moors have an intricate relationship. They have celebrations about the defeat of the Moors in Mexico and Latin American countries, in Spain. All right. So one of the main missions after the capitulation of the Moors, after the defeat of the dark-skinned Africans who basically were responsible for the Dark Ages, creating many different Latin races, teaching Latin the people in Spain the actual Latin and the Spanish that they speak. That was a result of the Moors. That was a result of Africans. That was a result of Berbers. That was a result of Arabs who were occupying Spain from the years of 711 to 1492. That is a fact. Al-Andalus, Alhambra, go and do the research. The Moors taught the Spaniards everything that they know. The Moors taught the Portuguese everything that they know. When they went and the Portuguese rose up under the banner of Christendom, that's where you find your crusades. That's where the Inquisition comes out, the persecution of the Muslims in Europe. That's the same thing that's taking place right now. Are they not persecuting African Muslims in Europe? Facts? Facts. Are they not trying to deny the flood of Africans coming through the Iberian Peninsula, the Mediterranean Sea, into Europe right now? Facts?
Yes, they are.
Are they having something called a xenophobia in Europe where they're beating up Africans, they're kicking them out, they're scared of black men getting with white women right now? Is that a fact? Fear of a genetic annihilation, fear of a blackamoor messiah. That happened in Spain in 711 and 1492. That is called the War of the Reconquista, the reconquering of Europe. That is Christian nations versus black nations. That's Christian. That's people of a European inferior gene versus people of an African superior dominant gene. I'm just talking science right now. All right, that's the Crusades. Is Jerusalem not being named the capital of Israel right now? That's the Crusades. So there's a Moorish revival. There's a medieval revival taking place right now. Are they enslaving Africans in the Barbary Coast, which is known as Liberia right now, which was Carthage, which Hannibal comes from? Now they're doing it in Libya post-Gaddafi. Facts? That was happening back in the days. Those were your slave coasts. That's where they were taking all of the Europeans and enslaving them. Facts. Yeah. Come and pick the bodies up. Yeah, they all laid out. Okay? They're all laid out. You know the times that you're living in. The people in Spain, if you go there right now, Brother Rich went over there to Barcelona. The castles are still standing. The castles are still standing. The Moors are responsible for making Europe what it is. They provided the intellect. Don't say, oh brother, they sold us out. No, they didn't. They went to a place and did what anybody does who goes and sets up a society on foreign lands. Because the Europeans set up a society on this foreign land and you niggas love it. Okay? This Rome that he built, you are participants of it. You Romans, when in Rome, you do as Romans do. So we went, wherever we went, we set up societies and built pyramids. There are pyramids everywhere around the world. So wherever God goes, he's going to shine his light. Right? So we are, if your forefathers are the DNA to a place where they're trying to act like they better than you, all you got to do is check them. Okay? All you got to do is check them with the information, because the shit that they trying to put you, that's all a spell. They put you under a spell, not trying to. They got you under 80 blankets of a spell. You just got to pull them off and be woke. And then after you woke, you be conscious. Then after you conscious, you subconscious. Then you're super conscious. It's steps to this shit. There's levels to your awakening. But what I'm saying is, if the Moors are responsible, so the Moors, when the Moors are in Spain, or when the Moors, because if you go to Spain, for all of you Spanish people and you Latin people, you study Spanish monarchy, you study Spanish royal families, you study Spanish history. So when you go deep into Spanish history, you will see that the only way that they became what is known as royalty, or the only way that they became what is known as honorable, is they had to have black blood. They had to come from royal families. There was no royalty in Europe. There was no crowns and there was no thrones. That comes out of Ethiopia. That comes out of Africa, West Africa, Nigeria. Okay, that comes out of the continent. They brought that into Europe. All right, so the Europeans, with all of this fake ass Spaniard monarchy and whatnot, the people of Latin descent, when you go and do the research, you will find the African roots to that. So everywhere that you look, you're gonna find it. So when you look into Latin America, you have to dig into the Moorish roots. You got to dig into the African roots, because that is what is missing in the conversation. Everybody just thinks that these places are what they are without the inclusion, and it's not from a victimhood standpoint. When you talk about Africa and Latin America, when you talk about it in Central America, when you're talking about people coming in and discovering that shit way before Pizarro, Cortez, and the Crusaders and the Conquistadors and the Jesuits and the Friars came, because when they came, they shut all that shit down. Go and study Horace Butler's book, When Rocks Cry Out. Go and get When Rocks Cry Out. Go and get They Came Before Columbus from Ivan Van Sertima. Go and get David, what was the brother's name? David, I believe it's David, if it's not Shabazz, I forgot the name of the book. It's escaping me right now. When it comes, I'll let you know. But it's a lot of books out there that talk about this. Okay? Pyramids in America by not Dr. Umar Johnson, Dr. Umar Shabazz. Go and research him. All right, he showed you where all the pyramids are in America, the mounds and the pyramids. Just in North America alone, there's over 250. So you got a lot of history to do. You know what I mean? You got a lot of researching to do if you so choose to do so. But for my brothers and sisters in Latin America, like I said, my grandmother, Esther Lee Nesbitt, is from St. Croix. She spoke fluent Spanish. My grandfather, Lloyd Thomas, he's also known in the Calypso circles as Prince and Boney. Okay? He is from St. Croix. He spoke fluent Spanish as well. You know what I'm saying? So if you speak in Spanish, you speak in Moorish Latin and whatnot, and you're also speaking in the tongue of your ancestors, but it's not necessarily, you don't got to attribute it to the Spaniard per se, but where a lot of our people speak Spanish, some of us were already speaking in that tongue, but the Spaniards definitely who are there, who came about as a result of the war that they declared on all things African, all things Moorish, all things indigenous after the defeat of the Moors in 1491. That created what was known as the New World. Go and read the papal decrees, the papal bulls. They got it in writing, my niggas. Go and read the capitulation of the Jews and the Moors. They're capitulating they're capitulating the Ethiopian Jews, and they're capitulating the African Moors from Israel right now as we speak. They got 3 months to leave. This is the Eritreans, the Sudanese, right? So the Eritreans are the Falashas, the Eritreans are the Ethiopian Jews. The Eritreans would be that segment of the Jews. So the capitulation of the Jews and the capitulation of the Moors. So the Moors would be the Africans, the Sudanese, and all of them that are in Israel, basically telling people the real truth about the real story. Not that shit that they selling them over there in Tel Aviv and all of that. Not the remix. They represent the truth. So they're capitulating. They're saying, yo, either you gonna convert to this shit, or you gotta get up out of here because we're about to make some moves and whatnot. So that already took place. Like I said, time is centrifugal. It's not linear. It goes into circles. You're seeing time repeat itself. Why don't people recognize that shit? There's so many markers. That's undeniable at the end of the day. It's undeniable. So my thing is this: as a Moor, there's a war that's been declared. There's a crusades that's been declared. On the Moors, there's an inquisition that's been declared. It's called the BIE, the Black Identity Extremists, for a group of people who don't identify themselves as black. Right? But they're saying Black Identity Extremists. That's a crusades, my guy. That's an inquisition. They're basically saying, yo, we're declaring war on your people. That's called inquisition. It's the same thing. It's the same thing like COINTELPRO. When Hoover came along, that was an inquisition. And you see how that ended, right? Okay. So people gotta upgrade their information, bro. You know what I mean? They gotta upgrade their narrative. I don't know what they out here talking about. But the thing for our brothers in Latin America, South America, Central America, all of these places, you need to rise up with the brothers and sisters in America that are out here talking that real talk and doing what real people do. Black businesses being self-made. You know what I'm saying? Doing what Garvey told us to do. Doing what Elijah told us to do. Doing what Noble Drew Ali told us to do. Not what no fuck nigga told us to do. Not what no weirdos or some people who we don't relate. Not what Margaret Singer told us to do. You know what I'm saying? Not what the ops told us to do. Not that. Not that. The real shit. So they need to come and holler at us because the people in your country are treating you like shit. You got no power in those people who they trying to be like conquistadors in Latin America. They trying to be like Diego and them. You dig what I'm saying? They're trying to be like the people who are responsible for murdering, pillaging, robbing, suppressing, oppressing, putting the foot on the neck and up the ass of your ass and trying to bury your African roots. When, like I said, I pointed out earlier, they are powered by the roots. Because remember, you got to understand how sacred food is. Okay? People don't give it enough credit. That's one of the most sacred things. That's one of the most sacred rituals that you participate in on a daily basis. There's nothing more sacred than the ritual of eating. Now, if the food that you're eating has an African origin, a cultural African foundation to it. Who are you? Who are you? That's your food. And now let's talk about your spirituality. What you indulge in the unseen realm, in the upside down world where no one can see, where no one is looking. That's where the magic is done. When you plant a seed and the seed grows, it's being done on the unseen, in the dirt, in the darkness. Everything is born in the darkness. People think things are born in the light. They're born in the darkness, in the UV rays. When the baby is in the womb, the baby's in triple darkness. That's where it's born. It's not born in the light. So in the darkness, Latin America, they're powerful. They're very powerful over there. They have a lot of pride. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of untapped potential. But their power source is African. Palo Mayombe, Santeria, Yoruba, Obia. Okay?
From our ancestors.
From our ancestors.
Why are you still doing what is from our ancestors and you don't want to speak out?
You want to shame us. You feel me? So you're not paying homage to mama. You gotta allow them to right their wrongs. Because you can have the ancestors will not bless you. The ancestors will not bless us if we are not doing what is right. I'm an Mbeji. I'm a twin. I'm a bet. They call me Ibeji, right? In the craft. So we are the gatekeepers. We're the ones who basically usher in, the different energies and whatnot. What is known as the pillars. But in the craft, you're supposed to take care of the abeji. You're supposed to shower the abeji with gifts. You're supposed to make sure that the abeji, the twins, are good. And that's in African culture. That's in Latin. Yeah, that's sacrifice. So they showed you in American Gods that nothing was able to happen until you sacrifice, meaning that you have to burn something and some kind of blood has to shed. That is the activating principle in all ritual. That makes things pop. That makes things happen. In Latin America, they're very familiar with that concept. In Africa, they're very familiar with that concept. In South America, in Central America, they are very familiar with that concept. That's African in its nature.
We have to speak to our ancestors.
Facts. That's feeding your God.
And we still know that they exist.
That's feeding your God. You know what I'm saying? That's feeding your God. So we need to have an open dialogue with our brothers and sisters from these countries. We need to go over there with the brothers and sisters who speak the native tongue and talk to them and have these heart-to-hearts and give them some history. For all of the brothers and sisters in Brazil and Honduras and Peru and St. Croix, you know what I'm saying? Anywhere that they speak Spanish tongue. Holla at your peoples. Wherever you have African communities where your brothers and sisters are experiencing forms of discriminatory practices, forms of ignorance towards their culture, forms of suppression of their culture, forms of culture shaming, forms of denial. Because if you want to live in a quote-unquote world where everybody gotta accept any fucking thing they throw at you, well, you gotta accept our culture. You gotta respect our culture. You have to be able to honor a culture that's responsible for your culture. You know what I mean? If the cultures are intricately related, it's something called cultural exchange, meaning, my niggas, that you owe us.
Sustain our heritage, we have to practice it.
We gotta sustain it.
To who? To our new generation.
We gotta sustain it.
To sustain.
Yeah. Trying to be like Rome is dishonorable. Fuck that. Trying to be like Rome is dishonorable. You niggas want to be Greek Romans, and where's that gotten you? You know what I mean? A lot of y'all look crazy these days. It got you looking real crazy. So I'm not. Yeah, I ain't with the movement where y'all letting old white men sleep with young black men and all of that bati boys. Nah, we talking about indigenous, aboriginal, where the sisters on these islands were in love with their men to the point that they called them very promiscuous and spicy. You know, in the islands that are real close to the equator, Tropicacenza. Yeah, right. Yeah, they kind of hot-blooded, and that's understandable. You know what I mean? But we need to get back. We need to get our minds back. We need to get our culture back. We need to get back with some morals and values and whatnot. We need to get back in alignment, you know what I'm saying, with nature, and things will fall into place. We need to stop taking the ways of this wicked man. It took them hundreds of years to break our people. Keep that in mind. That shit wasn't overnight. Our people resisted them for hundreds of years. Then they flooded you with Hollywood and the motherfucking Amazon Fire Stick, Netflix, Video Music Box, World Star. You know what I'm talking about? Rap music, hip hop, merengue. You know, all of these things. Pornhub, all of these things contributed to it. Viacom, I mean, I could go on for days. MTV, VH1, reality shows, Telemundo. You know, it's all kind of shit that happen. And then when you watch these Spanish channels, you don't see nobody of dark color. You don't see no representation. And when you see them, they buffoon, clown, fucking goofies, you know what I mean? Prostitutes, whores, sluts. Even the sister Amara Del Negra, she needs to put, I love the different roles that she's showing in her photography. She should play them out in her videos and more of her visuals and whatnot. Don't let them whore you out. Don't let them slut you out. Don't let them just make you a sex object, a Josephina Baker and whatnot. Don't make them turn you into a Marilyn Monroe of dark-skinned Latin women, because God damn it, we don't need more hypersexualization. We got thought bots. They gave niggas thought bots. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need that for our sisters. They already hypersexualized on the islands. Like I said, prostitution is in your face. It's everywhere that you look. On every island that I've been to, prostitution is rampant, especially amongst old European men, Arabs, Indians, Cambodians, Filipinos. You know what I mean? Just, you know, doing all kind of wicked shit to our women. And we know from living in this fallout, that's not healthy. Y'all be trying to push whole culture. Whole culture is not healthy for the psyche. It's a trauma culture.
I call it making of a prostitute that never existed in our color.
You don't want to celebrate that. You don't want to celebrate that. There's a reason in rebellions and in revolutions they kill the pimps and the prostitutes first. Go and research the Battle of Algiers, because they are seen as the least honorable of society. They got a price. They for sale. You know what I'm saying? They're for sale. So you don't necessarily, you gotta walk a thin line as a person that's indulgent in that industry. That's not for everybody. So all you niggas trying to get with that, you know what I'm saying? You niggas out here selling butthole in your mouth, and all of you sisters out here turning your box into an ATM, and all of these other, every orifice, you selling your ears, your mouth, your butt. You know, you might want to slow down and shit and realize the ramifications, the spiritual implications, the spiritual transmitted diseases that are coming out. You know what I mean? You're inheriting spiritually transmitted diseases. Sleeping with any different fucking demon that runs up to you with the bag. Nah, that's right. So you gotta be careful. We should be coming up with ways to enrich and empower our brothers. There's labor. There's possibilities to present labor opportunities to the millions of black people or dark complexion people in Latin America and South America who don't have the access to any kind of money from people in the like we got all of these businesses. I'll pay them people to fucking cut and sew and put some labels on some of these clothes. I'm willing to do that. So we need to link up. Y'all need to holler at your brother, man, because I'm not just out here giving you the history. I'm saying I'm climbing through the window of opportunity that this beautiful sister has presented with her fine ass and, you know, whatever stance she decided to take. I'm proud of her. I had my eye on her for about 6 years. So to see her in the eyes of the world and they're showering her with praises, because I know she had a hard come up. I know she had to deal with a lot of those Enrique Iguelas ass niggas, them Jorge's and whatnot, that just really probably took advantage of her. Like she showed in a segment of Love and Hip Hop where the DJ Hollywood dude said some real racist conquistador fuck shit, fuck nigga shit. That's how they talk to our women. Even worse. He was respectful because it was VH1. They talked to them real bad, real fucking dirty. And I'm saying no more. I'm saying that our sisters need to stand up and say, nah, fuck that, no mas. No mas, Rico. Huh? No mas. Pronto, stop it. You know what I'm saying? No mas. Respect our women of Latin descent, of Afro-Latina descent. Respect them. And for our brothers in America, respect them as well. You know what I mean? Respect them as well. Don't just treat them as a sex bot, a sex doll, a thought bot. You know what I mean? Respect these women. You know? Because I know a lot of people are ready to go to Latin America. They've been talking about going to Brazil and, you know what I mean? Sowing their oats. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's a destination. Niggas go to DR just to fuck. You know what I mean? That's a destination. That's the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? That's the Olympics. That's the phallic Olympics. You go out there and you go and compete in decathlons. You know what I'm saying? Not menage a trois or quadre a trois. You know? That's how menage a quads. That's how they out. That's how they doing it. So I want us to go further past the lower self, more into a higher chakra. I feel like there's geniuses on those islands and in these places and things. We have untapped potential. We need to be visiting those places and tapping into the natural resources. They got gold in their mountains, silver in their mountains, platinum in their mountains, oil in their land, relics that resonate with us. I wear the stones. The majority of the stones that I wear come out of the mountains of Guatemala and Brazil. That's where a lot of these precious stones come from. So it's all us. You feel what I'm saying? So it's all us. So yeah, do more research. Don't use that shit that's going on in LA between Mexicans and the blacks or the brothers and sisters out there. Don't let that be a reason why you shun or you turn your back or you don't want to recognize the contribution that the Central American, South American, Latin American cultures have with your culture.
I just want to conclude by mentioning our Hebrew brothers and sisters for a moment. If it's one thing I like about them, you know, they don't play that color crap.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what, yeah, absolutely. They don't play that. They know the black man and woman is God on the planet Earth, and the brotherhood that they display, that not just talk about, but display, is commendable, respectable, and absolutely impeccable. And don't ever ask me not to put the Hebrews on my channel. Never ask me that. They always will have a place on. It really bothers me if you can't look past the fact, okay, you don't believe in that book, okay, whatever, but their brotherhood and sisterhood is better than a lot of ours that I see out here. And we claim a whole lot of our original sciences, but we don't have no damn morals. We don't know how to treat one another. We bow down to a damn dollar before we take care of our brother and sister. You know, come on, man. So don't ever, a shout out. This is just a shout out to my Hebrew family. I love y'all. They gave me this hat today. This hat is fly. I'm gonna wear this hat. And I just want to say, that's all I wanted to say, brother, on that.
Yeah, like, there are organizations out there. They have a lot of brothers and sisters of Latina descent as a part of their organizations. Zulu Nation, the Hebrew Israelites. And I'm gonna hit you with this one, and it's gonna be a wake-up call to the importance of our cousins, because those are our closest cousins in in this family tree of humanity. Those are our closest cousins. You know what I mean? And the European is our distant cousin. He's the furthest cousin away from your cousins on that tree. All right? But hip hop, which is 44 years old, which in its 44th year has a person of Moorish Latin descent, because I told you her name, Balmazir, Cardi B's whole name. You could go and research it. It's on my Instagram. I put it up there. It's going to be in the lecture that I do coming up. All right? We got something in Atlanta, February 25th with Professor Griff. Be there. I don't care where you live. Be there. All right? And we have a networking and a mixer for Facts Initiative 2020 on that Saturday. Be there as well at the Commerce Club in Atlanta. So, Cardi B, the hottest thing in hip hop. I don't care what you say about her bars and the fact that she was a hooker and she's part of the thought culture, she's a thoughtist. I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about the part that the hip hop culture was founded in the 70s by black people and their closest cousins, which are known as the Latinas. And the Spanish people, mainly the Puerto Ricans in the Bronx. I am from the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx in 1975. I'm living in the Bronx right now. I lived in Miami in 2003 to 2005 amongst the Cubans. I saw how people of Latin descent and quote-unquote Spanish people are how they stick together as a family, bro. I witnessed that everywhere that I live. I see in their communities how they stick together, how they exemplify family, which further shows tribe. They're a tribe. You speak Spanish, you part of the tribe. But I saw the camaraderie. I saw the cohesiveness. I respected it. People of African descent get upset because sometimes they feel like they're left out of that circle. I'm like, fam, we had this discussion about races that are in a race. You know what I mean? They keep their shit, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they keep their circles tight. You know what I mean? But I see why they keep certain circles tight. Because family has, you know, when it's a family thing, when everybody's eating at the same table, you know what I mean? And you gotta, you know, everybody gotta be tight. So we should be taking examples of what we see exemplified in different races of people, the things that they do, and start applying it to some of our situations. That's not to say that we're not family and that we're not tight and we don't exemplify brotherhood and we don't exemplify cohesiveness, because we've done it, we do, and we're doing it. But we need to do it a lot more. We need to do it a lot more. And what I know is if we take some of our best traits and use it to our benefit, it will be beneficial to us. It will be beneficial to us. So I see allies in our brothers and sisters because I know how family orientated and I know how quote unquote loyal they can be. I know how loyal they could be. You feel me? So their contribution to the culture that you are a part of, that you benefit from, that you fuck with, that you appreciate, some of it is all that you know. Puerto Ricans played a part in that. Crazy Legs. Remember the 5 pillars of hip hop? Breakdancing. Puerto Ricans were there. Graffiti. Puerto Ricans was there. DJing. Kid Capri was there.
I was dry. Shout out to Kid Capri.
MCing. You know what I mean? I guess they didn't catch up yet like that. You got Big Pun, Fat Joe. You know what I'm talking about? There's a lot of them. I put my brother Pitbull in there when he was freestyling. He's nice. He's Cuban. There's not a lot. The brothers in Puerto Rico that are rapping. They do Tego Calderon. You know, there's a few, but they're in the craft, bro. They play their part. Any historian of hip hop, you don't gotta take my word for it. Any historian who's honest with you, who could really, especially people who are really there, they're gonna tell you that your cousins played a big part. Those Arawak, Taino descendants of the Bodicane, they are a big part of hip hop culture. And then you see it with Cardi B. She black. She Cardi B. Yeah, you hear a lot of the, you know, she the Bronx Spanish chick. She's a prototype, but she ain't different than any Spanish chick from the Bronx that I met. They all, you know what I mean? A lot of them is like that. But, you know, that's all I'm saying. It's no coincidence. It's no coincidence. But get off of that color shit. Get off of that color. Ain't gonna get you nowhere. Ain't gonna get you nowhere. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't gonna get you nowhere. You know? Ain't gonna get you nowhere. Don't fall under the spell of these conquistadors, B. Don't fall under the spell of the Roman Catholic, Jim Crow, you know, Willie Lynch, divide and conquer, that Trujillo shit out of Dominican Republic. Don't go with that. A lot of y'all in Washington Heights came to America and whatnot. Y'all absorbing hip hop culture, you know what I mean? Y'all walk like us, talk like us. You know, y'all absorb what we had to offer, but we come to find out that y'all hating on your own brothers and sisters back at home. Y'all hating on the Haitians on the same continent who was responsible for your freedom. You got Latin Americans hating on Africans, but you had Africans going over there to help Che Guevara and all of them. You got Haitians who's running up, chasing them crazy bald heads out of town. You know what I'm talking about? You got them, like I said, cooking them pots, putting them formulas together, putting them recipes together to conjure up them ancestors. Bro, where you think them ancestors came? Panda Express. They was coming right from West Africa. They was coming out of the deserts of Africa. You know what I'm talking about? Them genie bottles. They was coming out the caves of Africa, the jungles and the forests. Facts. So, you know, pay homage or case vomit. You feel me? You're not gonna win this one, my man El Duado. You ain't gonna win this one, Jorge. Okay, Jorge, put it down. You know what I'm saying? Put it down. Join the team. Join the winning team. Stop hating. And treat our brothers and sisters with melanin. Since you so caught up on the melanin talk, you know what I mean? Treat them like you treat the other people, because you don't want to have the day come where you're gonna be treated like that. And due to the research that I've been going through, our brothers and sisters didn't treat y'all like that. They respected y'all. You know what I mean? We know that your women is in love with us, but still, we respected y'all. We took care of y'all. We protected y'all against these Europeans. You know what I mean? There's a lot of talk of the trading that took place. When the Moors were defeated, they were defeated by their amalgamated and their cousins. They were defeated by the biracial, the Arabs, the brothers who identified as Latin. You know what I mean? They turned on them. So, gotta be careful. The Haitians will tell you about that as well. So we gotta be careful. We have to be able to identify who our allies are and who our allies are not. Who's riding with us, who's not riding with us. You know what I'm saying? The cultural exchange, like, what do we get for this hip hop shit that we, you know what I mean? Like, what do we get for that? You know. Well, how are we gonna use it? If we're gonna share it, what are we gonna do to make it benefit the lives of the people who need benefit? So, yeah. It's blood on the floor. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let this shit breathe. Alright? It's been a pleasure. Patreon.com/Red Pillar. For all of my brothers and sisters on the islands who respect this information, let's keep this thing going. You know what I mean? We gotta pay for funerals. We out here catching bodies. We gotta pay for burials and all of that. You feel me? Love and light to the family. Kings County. Check us out. Get with us. We ship to Latin America. Get with us. You gotta adorn yourself in the iconography. You gotta adorn yourself in the costume, in the attire, in the uniform to show uniformity. Look, adorn yourself. Don't be shy. Multiply. So hit us up on Kings County. You know what I mean? KingsCounty.com. Kings County Big Cartel, and let us get this all up in Latin America. Let our brothers and sisters, because like I said, if it's gonna be people that's not with it, you don't got to worry about that. Nobody is twisting your arm. There's enough people that are with this wave. There's enough people that want to tap into their higher self, into their godhood, into the Shango that's inside of them, into the Yemeya that's inside of them, into the Oshun that's inside of them, into the Obatala that's inside of them. You know what I'm talking about? So, love and light, peace and love to the family. One.